Intro music fades slightly. Hey archive explorers. Today, we're diving deep into a period of history so catastrophic, so utterly transformative, it reshaped the very fabric of medieval society. We're talking about the Black Death, the cataclysm that, in its terrifying wake, broke feudalism forever. Imagine Europe in the mid-14th century. A world where your birth determined your destiny. Most people were serfs, tied to the land, working for a lord in exchange for protection and a tiny plot to grow their own food. Life was hard, often brutal, but it was a system that had endured for centuries, a rigid hierarchy where everyone knew their place. Then, it all came crashing down. The year is 1347. From the east, carried on the scurrying legs of fleas aboard merchant ships, came a terror unlike any seen before. The plague, caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis, arrived. It didn't politely knock, it stormed through cities and villages, a relentless tide of death. The symptoms were horrific. Swollen lymph nodes, called buboes, would appear in the groin, armpits, or neck, often turning black. Hence the name, Black Death. Fever, chills, vomiting, diarrhea, and agonizing pain were common. And the speed. People could go from feeling perfectly healthy to dead within days, sometimes even hours. Imagine the sheer terror. No one understood what was happening. Was it God's wrath? Bad air? A punishment for sins? Doctors, often learned but ill-equipped for such a foe, were helpless. They tried everything from bloodletting to herbal remedies, to burning fragrant herbs to purify the air, but the plague raged on, indifferent. Whole towns were wiped out. Cemeteries couldn't cope with the sheer volume of dead. Mass graves became the norm. The familiar sights and sounds of daily life were replaced by silence, fear, and the chilling toll of the death knell. It's estimated that the Black Death killed between 30% and 60% of Europe's population. Think about that. Every second person you knew, gone. But in this unfathomable tragedy lay the seeds of change. With so many people dead, the fundamental balance of power in the feudal system was shattered. Suddenly, labor was scarce. For the first time, the surviving peasants were in demand. Lords, desperate to get their fields plowed and harvested, had to compete for workers. This scarcity meant peasants could demand higher wages, better conditions, and even the freedom to leave their ancestral lands. Those who had been bound to the soil for generations found themselves with newfound bargaining power. They could negotiate, they could move, they could seek out lords who offered them more. The old rules, the rigid bonds of feudalism, began to fray. Peasants could now afford to buy their freedom, or simply walk away from oppressive lords. The concept of a free laborer, someone who sold their work for a wage, began to take root. This shift wasn't immediate, and there were certainly attempts by the ruling class to cling to the old ways, even enacting laws to try and cap wages. But the tide had turned. The Black Death didn't just kill people, it killed a system. It fundamentally altered the relationship between lord and peasant, between land and labor. It paved the way for new economic and social structures, setting the stage for the Renaissance and the eventual decline of the medieval world. It was a devastating chapter, a true cataclysm, but one that ultimately led to a different future for Europe. A future where the chains of feudalism began to break, one by one. Outro music swells.